All right, let's just jump right into it. We've all been told that stubborn belly fat is just a matter of calories in, calories out. But what if that's not the whole story? What if that fat, the really dangerous kind, isn't just storage? What if it's actually a signal? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on why your body is building this stuff and how you can start speaking its language to finally convince it to let it go.
Yeah, that's a pretty intense way to put it, but it's true. While we're all worried about the fat we can pinch on the outside, there's a much bigger problem unfolding deep inside. This isn't about how you look in a swimsuit. This is about a fundamental conflict between your ancient survival wiring and the modern world you live in. So, let's get right to the heart of it. What exactly is this unseen enemy? And what makes it so much more dangerous than any other fat on your body?
Okay, so this is probably the most important distinction we need to make. On one hand, you've got subcutaneous fat. That's the soft stuff right under your skin that you can pinch. And honestly, it's mostly a cosmetic issue. But then there's visceral fat. This is the stuff you can't see, the stuff that's packed deep inside, wrapped around your vital organs like your liver and intestines. And here's the kicker. It's not just sitting there. It's an active, living organ.
Think of it like a rogue chemical factory that's gone haywire inside you. Because it's an endocrine organ, it's constantly pumping out these nasty inflammatory compounds called cytokines. They mess with your heart, they hijack your hormones. But this, right here, is the most crucial part. Your body builds this fat on purpose. It's a defense mechanism, a response to what it thinks is a dangerous situation. So to beat it, we first have to understand the mind of its architect. And that architect, well, it's a hormone we've all heard of. But maybe we've got its story all wrong. See, this isn't a story about a modern-day villain. It's actually about an ancient hero whose programming is seriously backfiring on us.
Yep, I'm talking about cortisol. And I know we call it the stress hormone and blame it for everything, but for our ancestors, cortisol was the survival hormone. For literally hundreds of thousands of years, this chemical is what saved our skin from predators, from famine. It was our biological superpower.
And the way it worked was just brilliant. It's a lightning-fast chain reaction called the HPA axis. Your brain senses a threat, and then boom, boom, boom. The signal goes from your hypothalamus to your pituitary to your adrenal glands, which then pump out cortisol. What does cortisol do? It instantly floods your system with glucose, sugar, giving your muscles the immediate fuel they need to fight that tiger or run for your life. For short-term danger, you couldn't design a better system.
So, you escaped the tiger. Phew, now what? Your body needs to refuel, and fast. Evolution's solution was genius. Let's store some emergency energy right where it's most needed, deep in the belly, right next to the liver for quick access. Cortisol basically acts like a magnet, pulling fat to this central storage depot. This visceral fat was your body's emergency survival backpack. The only problem? Your body still thinks you're in a crisis, packing that backpack for a famine that's never going to come.
So if this system was so brilliant, how did it become such a huge problem for us? Well, think of it this way. We're all running Stone Age software on 21st century hardware, and that mismatch is causing a major system glitch.
I mean, really think about it. For our ancestors, stress was terrifying, sure, but it was short. It was a lion, a flood, a battle. It was intense, it was physical, and then it was over. You either got away or you didn't. But our lions look a little different today, don't they? Their work deadlines, traffic, mortgage payments, the 24/7 news cycle, that little blue light from our phone screens. The threat isn't a sprint anymore. It's a non-stop marathon of low-grade psychological stress. Our bodies are just simmering in a state of emergency all day, every day.
And this is where we get stuck in this vicious cycle, the cortisol trap. Because stress is chronic, our cortisol is always high. High cortisol tells your liver to keep dumping sugar into your blood for that fight that never happens. And since you don't burn that sugar, your pancreas pumps out insulin to store it away. High cortisol plus high insulin, that is the perfect storm. The absolute perfect recipe for manufacturing and storing visceral fat. You're completely trapped in a biological loop.
Oh, but it gets worse, because your body has to make choices, and in its ancient wisdom, survival always comes before anything else, including reproduction. Now, to make all that cortisol, your body needs a raw material, a master hormone called pregnenolone. But here's the catch. That is the exact same building block your body uses to make sex hormones like testosterone and estrogen. So when you're chronically stressed, your body literally steals that raw material to keep pumping out cortisol.
And you can see exactly what's happening here. All of that precious raw material is getting diverted. The production line for cortisol is working overtime, while the production line for your vital sex hormones, it's basically been shut down. Your body is sacrificing your long-term health and vitality for what it perceives as a short-term emergency. And this hormonal shift creates a very specific physical result, one that so many people recognize: the skinny fat body type. See, high cortisol is catabolic. It breaks down muscle tissue in your arms and legs for quick energy. At the exact same time, it's telling your body to store fat right in your midsection. So you're not just gaining weight, your body is literally rearranging its entire structure based on this ancient survival blueprint. Okay, so that's the bad news. It sounds pretty grim. But here is the good news, and it's a game changer. The way out of this isn't to fight harder. It's to stop fighting completely and start communicating with your body in a language it actually understands.
This right here is the key. This is why so many of our traditional approaches backfire. Pounding the pavement for hours on end, starving yourself with extreme diets. What are you doing? You're just adding more stress to an already stressed out system. You're basically yelling emergency at your body, and it responds by clinging to that survival fat even tighter. So here's the new goal. It's simple, but it's profound. We have to convince our ancient nervous system that the war is over. We have to send it consistent, powerful signals of safety. We have to let it know the tiger is gone, the famine is ended, and it's finally safe to come out of emergency mode.
So how do we do that? How do we actually send these signals of safety? Well, let's break down the action plan. This is the signal safety framework, and it starts by rethinking some of our most basic ideas about health. Let's start with exercise. That hour-long run might actually be telling your body you're on a long, stressful hunt, spiking cortisol even more. Instead, we want two different kinds of movement. First, just walking. It calms your brain's fear center and sends a powerful signal that you aren't trapped. And second, heavy resistance training. Lifting weights sends an anabolic, a building, signal that directly counters cortisol's muscle-wasting effects. It tells your body to build strength and gives all that blood sugar a place to go. But of course, movement is just one piece of the puzzle. The full strategy involves timing when you eat to match your body's natural rhythms, making sleep an absolute non-negotiable. Putting back the key minerals that stress burns through, and of course, learning to manage those psychological triggers. And if you're ever tempted to skimp on sleep, just look at this number. A 40% drop in your body's ability to handle sugar after just one bad night. That's insane. Your body sees sleep deprivation as a major threat and cranks up cortisol to deal with it. Sleep is not passive rest. It is an active metabolic strategy for signaling safety. And finally, there are some direct levers we can pull to physically calm the nervous system. Restoring minerals like magnesium, the relaxation mineral, is huge. Adaptogens like ashwagandha have been shown in studies to actually lower cortisol levels. And deep belly breathing, it's not just a cliche, it's a physiological hack. It stimulates your vagus nerve and manually switches on your body's rest and digest system, sending a powerful, immediate signal of safety.
So as we wrap this up, it really all comes down to this question. For so long, we've treated our bodies like an enemy to be conquered. But that visceral fat, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a misguided attempt by your ancient biology to protect you. The way forward isn't through a battle of willpower. It's through a negotiation. It's about signaling for peace. So what signal will you choose to send today?